All right. This looks a little different than the last video because I went ahead and dropped in a few more characters. You'll see some things in my layer panel that look different, most of which are these folders, Sun and Light, Link stuff, Ganon stuff. I'll explain what those are when we make new ones in this video. There's also a couple more things I'm going to show you in this video. One is called the Free Transform tool, which you'll probably have to use over the course of this assignment. Another thing will be using more layer masks like we did in the first video. So we're going to practice using layer masks. We've done it with the window project. Now we're going to strengthen that and not forget how to do it. We're going to use them again with this project if you need to. And I needed to here. You can see there's some overlapping problems with this foot in the snow, with this Pokemon and this guy here. And I'm going to show you how to do that. I've already done it once, not on the video, where it looks like this figure is actually behind the snowbank. If you want to see what it was supposed to look like, this is how I brought it in. Here's the whole figure, and it looks like he's just tiny and he's standing on the snowbank like a little kid. But I wanted to make it look like he was a little taller and standing on the other side. So what I did was I set up the layer mask like we did with the window in the first project. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Even though I already did it for this one, I'm going to have to do it again right here with the snow and the foot. I'm also going to have to use the Free Transform tool on this Pokemon so it's not looking like it's sitting on this guy's shoulder. And I might have to use an adjustment layer on this Pokemon because it looks good here, but I'm going to move it to another spot in this image where it might need to look a little different. So there's going to be 3 little tools here. And then on the next video, I'll show you how to add the shadows to root your objects, people, and animals into your scene correctly. And that's about it. I'll wrap up, make sure you check the rubric because that's exactly how I grade it and what I'm looking for. You want to make sure you do all the things that are going to be graded in the assignment will be in the rubric. And make sure you save it. When you go to save it, it is just a regular Photoshop file. It'll say .psd. That means it's a Photoshop file, and that's what I want you to hand in so I can look through your layers, make sure they're named and everything's all right, and I can help you. All right, if you upload it as a JPEG or a .png, I won't be able to check it and I won't be able to grade it. All right, so let's get started here. First, I'm going to start with this Pokemon. I'm going to click. This is very easy to forget. Whatever layer you're working on, you want to make sure it's selected over here. I'm going to click on Pokemon so that it's highlighted. Now, if I go to use my Move tool, it just moves the Pokemon layer. And you can see if I move it here, it's behind the Metroid person. If I put it here, it's in front of Ganon. That's because of the order it is in the panel. If I take it and I drag it to the top, now if I move it over here, it's in front of Samus. If I drag it down to the back, it's behind everything. If I drag it underneath this layer here, I named the neighborhood picture. Now you can't see it because it's behind this entire image and all the pixels are being used. So I want it, we'll have to figure out where we want it. You can always change where your character is. I want to move it from here way back here somewhere because it's getting a little crowded. I had a few other toys and it was just too much. It was too much in one image. Remember, you only need to put one thing into your image. It can be a person, an animal, or an object. Just one. I'm doing several to show you different ways to select, to help teach you about layers, free transform, and adjustment layers. All right, so I'm going to move this. I want it to be over here. but it's pretty gigantic. So I am going to either hit Control T or go up to Image, Edit, Free Transform under Edit. Free Transform, Control T. You'll see around your image a little bounding box with points. If you move to the corner, it's crooked. That means you can rotate. So I kind of want to make it like that. And if you grab a corner and you drag it up or down, you can resize. So I want this to look pretty small. And I'm going to click inside and drag it over to about the edge of this driveway back here. Maybe make it a little smaller and hit Enter. So now we have a Pokemon way back here. It's not too distracting. And I want to be behind Ganon and everything. So I'm going to move this down behind Ganon, behind Link. And don't, whoops, I accidentally put it inside the Link folder. There we go. And I'll show you what these folders are soon. Oh, I did it again. Okay. All right, so I put it behind everything but in front of the background image layer. So it's really far back. I'm gonna go up to File, Save, in case it crashes. We won't lose our work. So that's how you use the Free Transform tool. We're gonna actually use it in a more advanced way when we make our shadows. But first I have to teach you how to analyze for the shadows because there's different kinds. Depending on whatever your light situation is. All right, so now the next thing I want to do is deal with this foot. I don't want Metroid, the Samus, to look like it's actually walking on the edge of the snowbank. I want it to be on the sidewalk. So the snow should be overlapping the foot a little bit. So I'm going to go up to Samus, and we're going to use, we don't want to delete part of the pixels in case we want to use them again later. We want to use a layer mask. So with this layer selected that I want to do this. This might happen in your picture. You might need to overlap something. So I'm going to select the layer I want to overlap something on and hit the layer mask. And now we have this. Now remember, you can click on the actual pixels or the mask. I want to select the mask. Now here's what we're going to do. I'm going to zoom in on the area. It's going to be about the foot. And we're going to select out the snow here. But I can't really see it because the foot's in the way. So what I'm going to do is go up to opacity in my layer panel, click on the number and drag it down so I can still see the foot, but I can also see the snow. Now, with the layer mask thumbnail still selected, it should have a white box around it like that. It shouldn't look like this. It should look like that. I am going to select, in my case, this is a very lumpy line. I'm going to select the magnetic lasso tool. Okay, pay attention here. Before I just start selecting things like that, we're not going to just start selecting things. I am going to hover my mouse over the pixel thumbnail. Don't click. I'm going to hold down the control button so that little dotted box shows up, and I'm going to click once. Now, the entire Samus layer pixels are selected. Our layer mask still has the box around it. It's still selected. I can click on it. Yeah, it's still selected. Now I'm with the magnetic lasso tool. I'm going to hold down the Alt button, which is right next to the space bar. You're going to see a little subtraction symbol pop up. There it is. And I'm going to trace along where the overlap is on the snow. And then I'm going to go around the area I don't want and bring it back and let go. Nothing happens because I have to hit Enter, remember? There. Now, I have the area I want. I am going to make sure I have black selected. And if it's not, you just click right here and it makes it black and white, and hit the arrows so the black is in front. And hold down Alt, and hit delete. And everything's going to disappear. It looks like that's not what you want, but it's going to be. So I'm going to go up to select, deselect, and while this is still selected, I can click on it to double check. It's not selected, but it's got this selection here. I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Invert. There. Now I see Samus again, or the ghost version, but now I don't see, whoops, didn't mean to click that. Now I don't see where it overlaps the snow. Now it looks like it's behind it again. Of course, it's still see-through. So I'm going to click on the pixels again of the layer, go to opacity, and turn it all the way up to 100. Now it's behind snowbank. So it looks like she's actually on the sidewalk now. Now that was a lot of steps and kind of complicated. So you might need to go back and watch the part of the video again a few times and follow along, or put it on a little bit slower. It might take a few tries. That's fine. Just skip the video back and try it a bunch of more times. Worst comes to worst and you delete actual pixels, you can always go back to your original photo, especially if you saved the selection, and bring it back in again. But hopefully you'll just make a mask and the original pixels, I can right click on this, disable layer mask. See, foot pixels are still there. Right click, enable. There we go. Now that's how I did Ganon here behind. All right. So we use the free transform tool. We used the layer mask. We rotated this image with a free transform. We got everything about how we want it before we start adding shadows. I'm going to do a couple more things. This color looks extremely intense, even though this character is standing in the shade. Now, if it was standing in the middle of snow, some of this white would be bouncing back and illuminating it more. But I think since it's on this driveway, it should be a little bit duller. So I'm going to click on my Pokemon layer. Now, this is very specific, but it's something you should think about. I'm going to go down to the adjustment layer and choose hue saturation. I have to click this button right here because I don't want to change the neighborhood image. If I darken it, for example, it darkens everything. I don't want to do that. If I click this button, it's only going to darken the layer directly beneath. So what I want to do, see how the colors are. The colors should be a little duller since it's in the background, since it's in the shadow. The light is behind it. So I'm going to dull the colors a tiny bit with hue saturation. If you go too far, it's gray. But maybe I'll go down. And I'm not looking at the number, I'm looking at the image and just moving it. And I go too far one way, too far the other way, and I try to find something in between that looks good. There we go. And I might darken it a tiny bit. There we go. Just a tiny bit. Now it looks a little bit more like it's sitting in this grayish bluish scene. Now I can close this panel. If I ever want to go back to it, I just double click here and it comes back. And you can see how it looks compared to how it used to look. by hitting the preview eyeball icon. You can see I do like the colors. I also think it's a little distracting and over-colored over there. So if I mute the colors a little bit, it does two things. It doesn't demand too much attention, and it blends into the background a little more realistically, because this is in the shade. And there are ways to be way more complicated so these colors are more intense. This is only the second project we've done. So if you just do that much, you're already in a good place. So we have everybody in the right spot. Okay, I'm going to end this video here, and the next video might be the last video because I'm going to show you how to add the shadows. I've already done some of the shadows in this image. I'll give you a preview. Let me turn the preview off some of these other pieces. I've already done Ganon and Link. So let me turn those on, and you can get kind of an idea of where we're headed. Here's Ganon's shadow. And here's Link's shadow. And I'll show you exactly how I do these in the next video. See, that looks pretty good compared to the other shadows. And we'll talk about how to do that in the next video. And that really roots these characters into the scene. All right. For now, I'll go to the next video and we'll add the shadows and be done.